Welcome to part 4 of Claire. We are continuing with round 51 and we start with a chain 1 and a twisted corner. So you did the twisted corner a few rounds now, or for a few rounds. Just going to find the DC that's underneath. There we go. And my first stitch goes in here. We start with 9 single crochet, and the fourth of those should go into this picot stitch, the sixth in this treble, in this front post treble, and the 9th in here, which is 2 stitches before the spike. I'm going to work a double treble plus 3 minus 2, meaning we go 3 forward, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2 down. Oops, I've got 3 already for the double treble, so we're working around this stitch here. We skip the stitch behind the double treble. Our next stitch goes into this spike stitch and is the first of 6. And the fourth goes into the spike stitch again, and the 6th goes into that picot. Now we're working a split spike, which means, and we're going 1 ahead, so 1 ahead and 3 down. 1, 2, 3 down. So I'm splitting this stitch here. The next stitch goes into the next picot, and it's the first of 3, where the third goes into the spike, and the fourth after. The next stitch is a front post treble minus 1, minus 2, minus 1, minus 1, 2, around this stitch here. We skip the stitch behind the front post treble, and the next stitch goes in just above this big rose, and we're making 9 single crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th goes above this other big rose, the second, and the 9th is just before this double treble stitch here. So now we're going to work a 2 together C, where the first leg is going to be a double crochet behind and below. So we're working into the top loops of the stitch that was skipped when we made this double treble, and the second leg is a double treble leg, which goes 4 ahead and 1 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4 ahead and 1 down. We work into this stitch. That's it. Now make sure to work behind the stitch we just made. We skip this double treble because we made the DCBB behind that, and we work in the next stitch. 3 single from here and a DCBB behind, again a double crochet behind this double treble here in the top loop of the stitch that was skipped. After this we're going to work a front post treble again. I want to make sure that I keep this stitch marker in the front. We go 2 ahead and 1 down. So from here 1, 2 ahead and 1 down. I want to keep this in the front. Front post. Okay, so we skip the stitch in front of this double treble because we worked the DCBB behind it, and then the next stitch we also skip because we just worked the front post treble. So if you see that, so that's one that we skip anyway because of this DCBB we made behind it, and the next we skip because we made this front post treble. So we work in this stitch here. And we just make one single crochet. The next stitch here we are going to work over this, and we work 2 ahead and 1 down. So either you split this stitch or you just work under here, which can make it a little bit easier. And I did not mark my next stitch with a stitch marker, which I usually like to do if I have to skip 2 stitches, but I know where to find it. So 1, and the second should be just above where we inserted the spike. 2, 3, number 4 should go into the DC here, and number 5 goes into the spike. And now we're working a split spike again, and I'm going to use a temporary stitch marker just to make it a bit easier. Put it in here because I'm going to work 2 ahead, 1, 2, and 2 down, 1, 2. So I'm splitting this split again. I'm splitting the split spike. So just pull it to the side to give enough room, and the next stitch was marked, so I know where to continue to work. And after this I'm going to make 2 single crochet. I already made 1. I'll make another, and then we're working 1 ahead and 2 down. So 1 ahead and 1, 2 down, which is beside this double treble. From here we got 3 single crochet. And then the second should be just above this double treble, which is our center stitch again. And so we're going backwards in the pattern, which means we're going to work 1 stitch back and 2 down again with a split spike. Covering this stitch, and then 1, 2 single crochet, and again working back 2, 1, 2, and down, 1, 2, splitting the split spike. And this is our next stitch. It's the first of 5. The second also goes into this DC that we made. 3, 4, and 5 single crochet. Now I'm going to work back with a split spike, where I'm making a split 2 back, 1, 2 back, and 1 down. So here I've got enough substance to work actually the split spike, but because I worked under on the other side, I'm just going to do that here as well. So I want to keep this in front, and this is the stitch that I'm covering. 1 single crochet, and the next stitch is a front post treble -2 -1. So I'm going around this stitch here. I skipped this stitch because I made this front post treble, and I'm going to work a DC. And now I'll work 3 single crochet. And I'm doing the same stitch as I did here, just the other way around. Now my first leg is the double treble leg that goes back 4 stitches and down 1, 2, 3. And the second leg is the DC that is worked behind the double treble. And then yarn over through both. And now again 9 stitches, and 1, 2, 3. So we're above the big rows here. Oops, that's not nice. And the last one is again directly above the big rows. Our next stitch goes forward 1 stitch and down 2, and it's a treble, so we'll make a front post treble. This is our next stitch. Counting forward is 1 and 1, 2 down, and go there, 4 stitches. We skip the stitch behind the front post treble, so this will be my first stitch just before the spike, and the second of 4 will go into the spike, and the last will go into this picot single crochet. Now I've got a split spike again where I'm going back 1 stitch and down 3. So from here going back 1, that's 1, 2, 3, and in here I'm going to split, and the first of 6 stitches is the picot, goes into the picot stitch again. The 4th goes into this split spike, 5 and 6, and the last goes just, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last goes into the top of the spike. So now we're going to work a front post double treble again, where we go back 3 stitches and down 2. 1, 2, 3 back, and 1, 2. So we work around this stitch here. 2, 3, and go through. And again we finish with 9 single crochet. So this was our last stitch made before we did the front post treble. So that means we're going to skip this stitch, and this is the first of 9. 4, 5. The 6th should go into the picot, and the last here. So that's 9 stitches, and that's it for this side. So it's not super duper difficult. And then we're here again, and we can work the twisted corner where we make a DC, chain 2, and then another front post DC. So we work around those DCs. That's it. And I marked my first stitch again on the side. So you just repeat this on the other 3 sides, and then close with a slip stitch into this first DC from the corner, the first DC that you made, and then we are done with round 51 and continue with round 52.